Good evening, and welcome to Chart Attack. It's the podcast where we jump in our great big pop time machine and select a number one single between the year 2000 and today, and we discuss it.
Yes, hello everyone. Once again, I am Martin Young, here as always with Abigail Firth. And on today's episode of Chart Attack, we are talking about Icona Pop's 2013 breakthrough hit. Yes, of course it is. I Love It, featuring Charli XCX. So Abby, we have to ask, do you indeed love it?
In fact, we love this song so much that we've actually recorded this episode twice.
Yes. Yes. So through the magic of audio, this is the second recording of I Love It. We literally cannot get enough of this song. Cannot get enough.
Yeah. And it's nothing to do with Martin's recorder running out of batteries halfway through the last attempt.
Yes. We would never be so unprofessional as to run out of batteries halfway through. Never. And
but we do love it.
Yeah, but why do we love it? Or do we actually love it? Then we'll find out.
That is the question.
That is indeed the question. But
a question we are going to explore today.
That's why we're here. So, Abby, can you tell me who the hell are Icona Pop? Who are they? Where did the song come from?
I certainly can.
What's going on?
So, Icona Pop, if you weren't familiar with them, as they were a bit of a one-hit wonder, a bit of a flash in the pan.
You might be a little bit unfamiliar, maybe.
Yeah. They are a Swedish electro-pop duo consisting of the members, and I do apologise to any Swedish people if I pronounce these incredibly wrong.
Sorry to our dear Swedish friends. We love you, but don't shout at us, please.
I'm very not Swedish, but
yeah.
I believe their names are Caroline Hjelt and Aino Jao.
Good name. Good name.
Great names.
Yeah.
And they released a single, I Love It, on the 9th of May 2012. However, it didn't actually chart until a whole year later in the UK. So it went to number one.
One whole year. The definition of a slow burner, this song. Definition.
Yeah. So it hit number one in the UK on the 6th of July 2013. It was officially released in the UK on July the 1st, 2013. And we'll get to why in a second.
Yeah. An interesting long tail for this song. Well, interesting
very
story.
long tail.
Yeah.
So it actually originated in 2011. That was when Charli XCX wrote the track. She was given a beat by the producer Patrick Berger, who at the time was best known for his work on Robin's Dancing on My Own, which is an amazing song.
Yeah,
by another amazing Swede.
One of the top 30 songs of all time.
Yeah.
The entire recorded history of music, Dancing on My Own, is up there. Top tier. Swedish people are amazing at pop. That's just how it goes.
Yeah. And I think it is such a travesty as well that the British public have taken this song and they think it's by Callum Scott.
Yeah, right. So one thing you know about us is we hate all sort of acoustic reimaginings of big turbo pop bangers.
There's just no need.
And they turn it into this sad stuff. I know it's fine to be sad sometimes, but don't desecrate glorious pop like this, please.
Exactly. But big up Robin.
Yes.
And I guess big up Patrick Berger for these two songs as well. So he sent Charli XCX some beats. One of them became I Love It. The other one became You're the One from her debut album True Romance.
Yeah, tell me a little bit of True Romance for a start. So what was Charli doing kind of in 2011?
So Charli in 2011 was kind of gaining some traction. She was gearing up to release her debut album, I guess. I feel like she was plagued with pushbacks from the start.
Yeah.
So she had a couple of singles out. I believe she had Stay Away out and possibly Nuclear Seasons.
Yeah, True Romance is a solid debut.
Yeah.
But I think we'll get into this later on, but maybe not the sound that Charli's known for now. But good album. And she was, creating stuff at this time, wasn't she?
Yes, she was. I don't think she'd like fully solidified herself as like a songwriter
Yeah.
that wrote for other people. So I guess this was her big break in that respect. So Charli wrote I Love It, and she actually thought it was the worst song ever. She said that in a genius.com interview.
Yeah.
She wrote the song in 20 minutes in a hotel room with her boyfriend sitting there, and he told her it sounded shit.
Harsh.
Yeah, so we're glad that like she's given up that boyfriend and she's moved on to George Daniel of the 1975 fame.
Yeah, George.
I don't think George would never do that to her.
George is a beautiful soul and officially the second best member of the 1975. I mean,
yeah,
you all know who the first is, don't you?
Obviously.
Yeah. Someone with a very nice ponytail. Tell you that.
Yeah. It's not Matty.
No. Yeah. Big up Ross. And Adam.
We love you.
And Matthew. We
and
love
Adam,
you all.
Yeah.
We love you all.
Honestly, I was going to say big up all of them other than Matty, but that's really mean.
Yeah. But, George, legend.
George, what a collision of legends as well. That is a power couple if I've ever heard of one.
Absolutely. But in 2011, George was just a figment of Charli's imagination, I would guess.
No. The 1975 were definitely still like.
Yeah, they were still there, and they were still alive and going. But it'd be a while until they met. But
yeah.
So yeah, back to Mr. Patrick
Let's
Berger.
return to the story.
Yes.
So anyway, Charli decided she didn't like the song and she was going to work on a different one.
Fair enough.
So I don't know what song that was, but she was working on a different song for hours.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mr. Patrick Berger, he passed the song along to Icona Pop because he obviously didn't think it was the worst song ever.
Yeah.
And they actually said that they felt like they related to the lyrics about getting rid of an older man boyfriend.
Literally getting rid of him and driving him off a cliff in their car.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I have to mention that if you're a fan of Coronation Street, which we mentioned a few times on the show, big Richard Hillman energy to driving someone off a cliff. Although he didn't
they
drive
crashed the car into the bridge, actually.
Yeah, Richard Hillman crashed the car into the river, didn't he? If you want to look that up, really good. Maybe we'll talk about it one day in the future. But anyway, carry on.
So Caroline, who of Icona Pop fame, thought that Charli's original version was a bit too cute. They wanted the song to have a bit more punkiness. So we'll get a clip in here of Charli's original demo. And it surprised me that like the attitude didn't come from Charli. But I guess that wasn't the kind of music that Charli was making at the time.
Yeah.
So anyway, Icona Pop, they approached another producer called Style of I, who a couple of years later, he went on to become one half of the dance duo Galantis.
That's a good
which
fact.
I think makes sense in the song.
Yeah.
But yeah, they wanted him to give it the like fuck it feeling, which I think he achieves.
Yeah, definitely. Good attitude going on.
So that's how the track was created. Moving on to the journey that this track went on. So it was released in Sweden in May of 2012. It entered the Swedish singles chart at number 48 and then later peaked at number 2. So bit of a climb in the home country as well.
Yeah, doing well.
But I think it really blew up after it was featured in an episode of Girls, which, if you're not familiar with that, it's a HBO drama series that was created by Lena Dunham. It was kind of like supposed to be like a millennial Sex and the City type of vibe.
Yeah.
And it was in its second season at the time.
Yeah.
So this episode that featured I Love It premiered on the 29th of January 2013. It features in a scene where Hannah, who is Lena Dunham's character, and another character, Elijah, are on like a cocaine binge, and the song is playing in the background.
Yeah, it does fit that. It does fit that, doesn't it? It's a good scene.
Yeah.
Like Girls, I think it's quite a good show. I think I only watched maybe the first like 2 series, but I definitely remember this moment. Also, remember Dancing on My Own was on a key scene in it as well. So, yeah, some symmetry for you there.
Yeah. Had some good music moments. I think the show was really good. I think it's just tainted by Lena Dunham being a terrible person.
Yeah.
Yeah. But at the time, I don't think she was like known as a terrible person in 2013.
Less terrible days in 2013. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think TV probably had more pull than it does now. It had more like impact on the charts. I think
that is a good point.
We'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah.
But after that episode aired, there was a spike in digital downloads of the track. So it quickly entered the Billboard Hot 100 and eventually peaked at number 7.
Impressive.
But over here in the UK, the song wasn't actually officially released. So cover versions of the track started appearing on the UK singles chart in like June of 2013.
Right, so people were like kind of aware of this song from hearing it, wherever they heard it from.
And the public were obviously desperate to have this song, which is why they were buying covers. So Icona Pop officially released the track in the UK on the 1st of July 2013, went straight in at number 1 a week later, and achieved quite the feat when it got the evil Robin Thicke off number 1 with Blurred Lines, which had been there for 4 weeks at that point.
Reign of Terror in summer 2013. I don't think we have to tell you that Blurred Lines, bit problematic, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
A few issues with that song and Mr. Thicke. Interestingly, if you look online, you will find Robin Thicke doing his own cover of I Love It from the Radio 1 Live Lounge. And it's another one of those like piano things. It's not good. But if you're like a masochist and want to enjoy yourself doing that, then feel
who
free.
Listens to this song and thinks, yeah, we could have some more piano? Honestly.
Where are you now, Robin Thicke? Where are you now?
We don't need to know.
We'll move on.
But that's enough of what we think anyway. That's enough of what we think. I would like to know what the press was saying.
Yeah, so there's lots of stuff in the press for this because we're actually, some of the episodes we've done so far in the series have been way back in the past where there wasn't so much press, and it's quite hard to find trawling through like Internet Archive and things like that. And 2013.
So we've actually we've hit the 21st century with this one.
Yeah. Like I was like a working journalist in 2013. I suppose you could say that. So yeah, I was right in there. And there's lots of stuff talking about Icona Pop because they were buzzy, they were hyped, they were a lot of excitement going on.
Yeah, so, they were like big on the blogs.
Big on the blogs. Big on the hype machine. Yeah. So Pitchfork, right? Big deal, Pitchfork.
Mm-hmm.
They gave it
familiar with it.
Yeah, they gave it the best new track when it first dropped in 2012. So they were on it early. They called it a slice of buzzy electro euphoria that fits easily with both modern pop and electronic music's recent turn towards total maximalism. So that phrase, that word, maximalism, very popular in sort of early to mid 2010s pop. That was kind of the vibe that was going on.
Yeah.
In terms of sound, definitely. So
especially in like the dance sphere as well.
Yeah. So it's like kind of coming in like the EDM period. It's like all that sort of thing. So.
Worth mentioning as well when it comes to maximalism, like this 2013, we were just kind of coming out of, I guess, like the ridiculous pop era, like the pop stars wearing ridiculous things and like everything was really campy and like over the top.
Yeah, like obviously,
I'm sure we'll get into it fully one day, but everything
so,
had
like, that peak
extra
era,
bells and whistles.
Yeah, like Katy Perry's maybe her last good album, 2013.
Oof. Possibly, yeah.
Controversial, but maybe we'll talk about Katy Perry at some point in the future. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's kind of the vibe. It's kind of maybe the end of something like that, and maybe
Gaga was in like art pop era around this time.
Kesha had kind of flamed out for obviously some other reasons as
well. Nicki Minaj was still pretty big and still pretty zany at this time.
Yeah.
Oh, and I'll tell you what, we're missing the big one as well.
Tell me
Miley
tell me
Cyrus's
the big
Bangers
one.
era.
Banger. Oh, yeah.
Which,
So in the later part of 2013, so summer, the end of summer, that's when Miley's literally everywhere. But I think we'll talk about Miley in our own episode at some point.
Absolutely.
Got to. But for the moment, still talking about Icona Pop. So Refinery 29, they said that I Love It is a brute force jam meant to be experienced when the club is at its absolute peak intensity, which I think is quite right.
Yeah, I think that's probably what Girls was visually showing as well.
That's what they were getting at, totally. So Digital Spy as well, they called it a bound around chantathon. Love that phrasing. Love a good chantathon. That's what I'm here for. And they also noted its hectic and shouty chorus packed with more energy than a six-pack of Red Bull. What would it be like if you consumed a whole six-pack of Red Bull? Because I think I've had maybe one can of Red Bull in my 37 years
you're
on
not
this
a caffeine
planet.
man.
Not a caffeine man. Famously, not a caffeine man. So what would that be like? Would that be like really intense? Was that what they mean?
I think that you would go into cardiac arrest.
Yeah. Does it fit the kind of the sensation of I Love It? I think probably, maybe it does, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's what some people were saying. But what were the people kind of themselves kind of maybe either saying about the song, or what were they kind of doing at the moment? Because I think it stands out for numerous reasons, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Like we were saying earlier, I think a lot of the press was about Charli writing it.
Yeah.
Because she was, again, like big on the internet at this time.
Yeah, Charli was...
Like 2012, 2013.
Charli's very, very, very talkative, huge personality, and she was doing interviews all over the place. Icona Pop were doing interviews as well, but I think Charli just has that force of personality and like no filter to anything that she says. So she was the one kind of talking about this in massive detail. Yeah.
But she wasn't really known for being like a party girl at this time, I don't think.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's how we know her now, and we know her for making like party anthems. But in 2013, her music wasn't like that at all. A lot of the articles, like a lot of the press that was coming out about this was like calling her like goth pop and
goth pop. Yeah.
It was, or like, what else did they call it? They used to call it like witch pop and stuff like that.
Yeah, like Witch House. That was the
Witch House.
Witch House was big in those days. Like if you're looking at like Salem and things like that, which is not exactly what Charli was doing, but I suppose it's kind of in the same sort of vague sort of wheelhouse in some way.
But I think her music was a bit more like melancholy, like we said, like the tracks like Stay Away, Cloud Aura, like they were quite mellow compared to this. And I think that this track kind of paved the way for Sucker era Charli. Like it says, like the big chanty songs that she ended up doing.
I think this kind of established maybe a little bit of a template for Charli that she used a little bit going on forward from this, do you think?
Possibly. We'll get into this when we get to the quotes, but I think that it probably led her label to want to, push her in this direction.
Can you knock out a few more of these, Charli, please?
Yeah.
Well, like this sort of song. Let's do a few more. And Charli's like, I'll do whatever I want. And then you get to Vroom Vroom, and it's like, whoa. But yeah, that's all in the future.
During this time, Icona Pop said in a DIY cover interview that they were worried they'd set the bar too high with I Love It.
Yeah, and they would be correct.
Yep.
very, very perceptive from Icona Pop there. Well, it's always good to set a bar high, because at least you have a high bar in the first place. But yeah, hard to top, isn't it?
Yeah. But I did go back and actually like listen to this record, like the whole album, in preparation for this. And it is a pretty solid record. Like, there is a lot of songs that follow the I Love It formula, but just don't actually have this quite the same energy.
Oomph. Not as much oomph. I like Manners. I like that song.
See, that didn't make it to the debut album.
It didn't make it to the debut album. Oh.
No.
What were you thinking? Oh dear.
Yeah, there's like some good party songs on it though, and There's the final track on it has a kazoo in it.
Yeah, more kazoos in pop, please. Pop stars, get your kazoo action on.
But obviously, being known for partying so much, they also said in another DIY interview that they watched nature documentaries to calm down at night.
Very, very wholesome fact there.
Yeah,
good way to relax.
It's a great way to relax. Just imagining like coming in from a night out and being like, yeah, we'll get a bit of planet Earth on.
Yeah, just watch some nice plants, watch some nice, I don't know, badgers or something like that. I don't know what specific nature documentaries they were watching. Maybe there was some badgers involved. But it's good to see a pop star behaving responsibly.
It's all about the balance.
Yeah. Wasn't there another good fact?
Give us some quotes from Charli.
Hold on. You uncovered a good fact also in that interview that you read that I think we have to mention.
Oh, yeah, I did. That I've completely skipped over. Yeah, there was a great fact in that interview, which is that David Sneddon actually wrote Lana Del Rey's national anthem. Yeah,
Mr. David Sneddon of Fame Academy and Stop Living the Lie fame. He's one big number one hit. Good Scottish pop legend. But you would never imagine like Lana Del Rey, sort of iconic American pop star. Yeah, and David Sneddon working together. What a collaboration. Yeah.
But she did also shoot that album cover in someone's back garden in like Surrey.
Yeah, like did people only just discover that like now, or was it always known? I only discovered that now. I was like, wow, it makes perfect
I feel like
sense.
It's kind of been bouncing around on the internet, but the one thing that gives it away that until I saw that post about where the album cover was shot, the one thing that gives it away is the big concrete beams that they have holding the fence together.
Yeah,
that is so British.
Yeah.
I see that and I'm like, oh my God, of course that's someone's back garden here.
Wow, that is good attention to detail. Maybe ruining the mystique of Lana there though. That'll be
ruining her
mystique there.
With David Sneddon writing national anthem.
You're gonna have Lana on your back now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
sorry.
I love this quote that Charli gave in an interview in Grantland magazine in 2013, which kind of, I think, encapsulates what was exciting about Charli at the time and kind of encapsulates her whole career. So she was backstage at a show and she said, pop music's about to change. Why run a race that's practically finished when you can start your own? Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's exactly what she did.
Yeah, and I think this song maybe kind of allowed Charli maybe some latitude with our label. Sort of, she had that success and they knew that she could do this. So maybe she had some more sort of latitude to carry on her own sort of unique path. But they did try and get some. So there was a push and pull where they were trying to get maybe some more hits like this, but they kind of let her indulge in a little bit and stuff that she wanted to do. And throughout the whole sort of like 10 years of Charli's pop fame is quite an interesting story that is maybe for another time. But it is kind of interesting how she had this kind of in the bank that they knew from the first, from the start, that she could produce these massive bangers. So Charli herself in the same interview for Grantland said about I Love It. She said, it's elevated me as a writer and it's also paying off a load of debt that I'm in, which is great. Yeah, that's great. So she also said, it's making my record label happy and it's making my publisher happy, but it's also enabling me to say, I'm going to make the weirdest second album ever and no one can stop me because I made you loads of money. She didn't quite make the weirdest second album ever, did she?
No, which is, I think during this period as well, like I say, like, I Love It. And then in 2014, she did have a couple more hits. I don't think she had another number one, but Boom Clap did really well.
Yeah, she had an American number one.
Fancy did really well. Yeah, she had an American number one with Fancy. So the second album, I think, did kind of carry on down this route, which I feel like Charli's kind of disowned Sucker now. She really embraces true romance, but I feel like it's just the unloved child. It's like the runt of the litter.
Yeah, the sucker era will return though. It will return at some point. Everything comes back. Everything comes back. That's how it works.
I listened to it this morning in solidarity.
It's good.
I got in the car and I was like, there's actually bangers here.
It's really good. But it's interesting to think about what would have happened had I Love It not took off so much. Would Charli have developed to the point where she was able to do all this amazing stuff? Because this era is like pre-PC Music Charli, Charli meeting A.G. Cook, and pre all this sort of like future pop and exciting stuff like that she was doing. So it's really interesting to think what would have happened. We'll never know.
No, we'll never know. But we will know what else was going on in the news and media.
You all know that because I can tell you exactly what was happening in sort of the first week of July, summer 2013. So if you like sport, then I don't know what you're doing here, but...
No, I don't. I think there's other podcasts for you, to be honest.
Yeah, but you'll be interested to know that Andy Murray, very much the Calvin Harris of sport, right?
I love that phrase so much.
Yeah.
Not getting as good of a reaction the second time round, but
yeah,
what a phrase.
So the Calvin Harris of tennis, Andy Murray, won Wimbledon for the very first time this week. Good effort. That was a big deal.
Big ups.
That was a big deal.
Yeah.
So yeah, big up Andy Murray. Also apparently in the news this week, the BBC suspended production of 3D programming due to apparently a lack of appetite. How can there be a lack of appetite for 3D programming? That's like so exciting.
Never knew that this was a thing that was going to happen.
Yeah, you get those like little glasses and everything like that, and you sit in front of your TV. Like,
I never knew that was a thing that the BBC were going to do.
Yeah, it was going to be a 3D revolution. Obviously, people thought, no, we don't want that. Why?
I don't know. Maybe I think 3D had its day by 2013.
3D had its day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Down with virtual reality. Things like that.
Nah, VR's big, but like it wasn't quite at VR stages yet. I think that like 3D films were just kind of over by then.
Like, what were they going to do on like 3D? Were they doing like the One Show or something like that, or like something exciting?
Imagine
EastEnders maybe.
Imagine you're watching like Loose Women and there's just like Colleen Nolan sitting in your living room. Jesus, I think I'd move house.
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be good. One other thing in the news this week: Elton John, certified pop legend of all time.
Love you, Elton.
Yeah. So Elton was chipping off in the news, right? He wasn't happy at all. So he was having a go about TV talent show acts. So what he said was, nobody on The Voice in England has had a hit record. They're non-entities. To which we give you the genius of pop legend Becky Hill, Elton. What a bad take.
I actually think that he was really out of touch during, this interview, whatever you say. I think that he is wrong.
Yeah.
I think Becky Hill is probably the only person to come off The Voice and have a successful career.
All you need is Becky Hill, though.
But,
all you need.
But during this time, I'm pretty sure she like had a hit in 2013, like with Wilkinson's Afterglow.
Yeah.
Like, I think that she was probably charting during this time.
Yeah,
so Elton, you took your finger off the pulse.
Grumpy Elton in 2013. This is like well before he was obviously working and getting number ones with like Dua Lipa and like working with Britney and everything. And now he's like one of the biggest, like biggest charting pop stars. Like 10 years later, it's incredible. But Grumpy
and I think
Elton,
that people see him now as like a person that is excited about like new pop stars, and he really champions some new pop stars. So I don't know. This was a weird take from him 10 years ago.
Yeah, I think you should apologise to Becky Elton and get Becky on a single. Get that. Yeah, that'd be a good collab.
Yeah, I actually think that would bang.
Yeah, love it. So on the cover of the NME this week in history, it was Arctic Monkeys. So do you remember them from episode 1?
Certainly do.
Of course you do. So 2013.
And if you haven't listened to episode 1, then what are you doing? It's a series.
Go back and listen. Yeah, pause this, go back, listen, come back. We'll be here. So 2013 was a massive year though for Arctic Monkeys. as their blockbuster album AM came out in September, and they had just headlined Glastonbury a few weeks ago when this interview came out. And in this interview, Alex Turner says, "I don't see why we can't do it again." And then fast forward 10 years, and yes, indeed, they are doing it again.
I think this was like Arctic Monkeys' biggest era.
That is a big claim. Big claim.
It was like the cultural impact of AM was crazy.
See, AM is weird because
also
I thought I wasn't into it at the time, right? Because I think I was obsessed with like the 1975, and their album came out like exactly the same period. The debut album for the 1975. So I was
for me,
yeah.
Once we get into the personal memories, it'll all become clear. But I think that this album was just like so influential for like teenagers, and like I think it probably introduced a new generation of teenagers to Arctic Monkeys as well.
I think that is true. That is true.
But they were on the cover of Enemy like 5 times in 2013. It was like just complete Arctic Monkeys overload. They were on like the Glasto preview cover, and then on like the Glasto review cover, and then they had like a pre-album interview, and there was like the album interview, and there was like later on like the end of year recap,
and all that time
they loved it.
Yeah, all that time there were Arctic Monkeys on the cover. How many times were the 1975 on the cover?
0. Everyone hated the 1975 in 2013.
Yeah.
Except for 16-year-olds who thought that they were well deep, i.e. me.
Yeah, and me. What age was that in 2013? Oh, we don't want to talk about that. But yeah, 1975's debut album, massive 2013. 2013 is an incredible year, is it?
Such a good year. Such a good year for pop music.
Yeah.
I feel like there were so many legends born in 2013.
Yeah, there's people still doing it, like Bastille, debut album 2013. Still here, still doing it. Churches,
Lord,
still here,
debut
still doing
album.
it. Lord, the greatest debut single of all time. Here's a plug for you. Right, go back to Dork Magazine, right? A couple of years ago, I don't know what issue it's in, but I was doing the top 10 feature. I was doing top 10 debut singles. Number 1, Lord, Royals.
True that.
Yeah. And maybe one day we'll do an episode on Royals by Lord.
We definitely will.
Isn't that good? Yeah, we definitely will. That is a good idea. But let's go into another good idea and tell you what's been happening in the street.
Please do.
Do you want to know? Do you want to know, Abby, what's been happening?
I always want to know.
Yeah, okay, I can tell you. So it's this week in history. So this is the episode from the 1st of July 2013. So let's set the scene. It's Leanne Battersby's birthday, right? But her partner, Nick, who is Gail Platt's other, less evil and less problematic son. Nick is suspicious that some shenanigans are afoot with Peter Barlow. Bit of tension in there, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So what happens then is Gail, she's a nice woman. She gives Leanne some chocolates for her birthday. But because Leanne's annoyed Nick, Gail's glad that, and this is the quote, that she didn't push the boat out and get flowers as well. She's not going to go that far, is she? But she does want to try one of the chocolates when she opens them. Of course, you got to try one.
Cheeky.
Yeah. So supervillain, big brat David Platt, Gail's other son. We've heard about David Platt before. We love David Platt. He's up to his old tricks, and he decides that he's going to play a few mind games, maybe. So he's going to order the biggest bunch of flowers going and have them delivered to Leanne just to start. But also, he's not going to put a name on it, so she's going to be wondering who sent me these flowers. And he's doing that just to stir things up, like the little shit that he is.
Love it.
So then the episode ends with Gail going full steam in on Peter Barlow. She spots him in the street and she says, "Oh, here he comes, the homewrecker. I'm warning you." So Peter says, "Do you know what, Gail? Why don't you jump on that broomstick of yours and cast your spell somewhere else?" So yeah.
You tell her, Peter.
Exciting stuff that's going on there. And one other thing from the episode, Roy Cropper, poor Roy Cropper, he makes a shocking revelation that apparently doesn't even like cake because it seems he's been sleepwalking. And apparently sleepwalking accounts for the piccalilli on his pajamas. So there you go.
Don't want the piccalilli on your pajamas.
You never want to have piccalilli on your pajamas. That's the one thing that you probably don't want to happen. He's like,
Absolutely not.
Not this piccalilli. Oh dear.
Can't stink like that before bed.
Yeah, he must have I think what happened is that cake was there, and he owns a cafe, so he must have came downstairs, went into the cafe, just devoured all this cake, and then didn't even realise he'd done it. Poor Roy. But there you go. That's what's happening in the street. But what was happening in actual real life, Abby? Particularly in your real life, because you've got more interesting stuff going on than what I was doing at this time. I wasn't doing much of any interest apart from just doing some music writing, listening to music, living my life, right? But nothing exciting happening. So you tell me what it was like to be young.
I would love to hear about that, Martin, later.
Young and free and living a vibrant life. Tell me, Abby.
Well, if I cast my mind back 10 years, if I just recall my youth.
Yes, please.
So I turned 16 the week that I Love It went to number 1.
Is that the best age, maybe, turning 16, if you're a pop fan?
Do you know, like, I have to say, as from a pop fan perspective, everything that I was listening to was just changing my life because you're at maximum absorbency. I think in your mid-teens, and you develop all of your own tastes and everything, which is probably why the music that came out in 2013 has stuck with me for so long. But just from a life perspective, I feel like you're probably a bit lost. I'd finished doing my GCSEs. I was waiting to do my A-levels, spending a lot of time working at my cousin's hairdressers. But I remember this whole summer really vividly. It felt like a really long summer. I got a record player for my 16th birthday, so I started collecting records.
Love it.
Which is really funny. This was during the time that HMV had started doing vinyl again. I spent a lot of my money on records, on a lot of anime magazines, a lot of gig tickets. I was super into music during this time. But I was also spending a lot of time online during this period. I was really active on Tumblr, and I was obviously very influenced by it.
Tumblr is hugely important in sort of this period, isn't it?
It was, yeah. I would say in the indie sphere, maybe not so much in the wider commercial sense.
Yeah.
But it was very important to me. There was the artists that were popular on there were quite, I guess, defining when it came to my taste in music.
Yeah.
During this time. So Charli was part of this crop of artists that were really popular on Tumblr. It was this kind of post indie sleaze phase, I guess. Where the music was less. It was less party and more
Yeah, it's darker vibes coming in.
Yeah. Less life of the party, more drunk crying when you got home.
Yeah.
So there was Charli, there was Lana Del Rey, Marina and the Diamonds, Sky Ferreira.
Sky Ferreira, yeah. So that was a big album. I loved that one at the time. And it's so
absolutely
great, that sort of career she's gone on to have with so many amazing albums since.
Yeah. There's been so many.
So many. There's just so much material.
10-year anniversary of that
overwhelming.
10-year anniversary.
And Masochism, where are you?
That's been coming for 10 years.
Coming forever, yeah.
So yeah, Sky Ferreira, a bit later on, Lorde came onto the scene. The 1975 Arctic Monkeys AM album was super popular. They were all really big on the platform. So I would say that I was probably already pretty aware of this track when it actually hit the UK because Charli's debut album was out at this time.
Yeah.
Charli's debut album came out in like April. I actually went back. I tried to find my old Tumblr, but I actually couldn't find it. But I did, however, search my old tweets.
Give us some old tweet action.
So this is what I was tweeting about when I was like 15, while Charli's album was waiting to be released.
Yep.
So on the 22nd of March, so nearly exactly 10 years ago,
Wow.
I tweeted, "Can't wait for Charli XCX's album to be released. OMG." I still feel like that today.
Is that? OMG, Charli's doing an album.
Yeah. On the 17th of April 2013, I also tweeted, "Need Charli XCX's album. Previews on iTunes sound amazing." Remember iTunes previews?
Oh yeah, like
Remember
30
iTunes
seconds of a
previews?
song, and they wouldn't give you the chorus, would they?
No.
There's like the pre-chorus.
You could, so like for anybody who is listening to this who was like too young to remember iTunes in its full glory, but you basically, on like the pre-order page for any album, used to be able to like play a 30-second clip of each song.
Yeah.
Like before they were released. And it was really exciting.
You'd be like,
It was a great time.
you click on them all, and then you'd
Look
be
at what
like,
they took from us.
yeah. Oh,
Look at what they took from us.
and then you click on one, and it's like, this one sounds a bit slow. This must be the ballad. I'll miss this one out.
Yeah.
I'll buy the rest of them.
And then the week that I Love It went to number 1, so on the 11th of July 2013, I also tweeted, "Can't stop Googling Charli XCX's style. Oh my God, I wish I could pull off half the clothes she wears. Sad face." I think I still feel like that.
Yeah, well, Charli is very stylish.
She was very, as you could see, she was like impacting me greatly when I was like 15 and 16.
Style icon. What other things were you listening to and reading about at that period?
So I was also, and I actually think that this part is going to be really relevant next episode. A little teaser.
Oh, interesting.
But other things that were like popular on Tumblr that I was really into was like kind of the pop punk crop that was big at the time. So Paramore had just had a big comeback with their self-titled album. Yeah. And that was huge.
Album. That was big, yeah.
There's also like UB86, All Time Low. I think like Panic at the Disco had an album out around this time.
Yeah.
So I guess there was that kind of bucket attitude in I Love It, which is not a connection that should be made between them. But I guess I maybe felt like the song spoke to me on some level.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I also read a lot of, if anybody remembers Tavik Evanson's blog, Rookie, it was like a teen, I guess it was like a blog, but they also printed like physical yearbooks as well.
Shout out to Rookie.
Yeah, it's dead now, but I loved it so much.
An important cultural artifact.
Exactly, yes. Birthed Petra Collins' career as well.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of like the Tumblr artists were really popular on there. And I think it kind of brought together like film, like coming of age media and music and style and everything. It was great.
A good time. And I
was actually just like living my life.
Yeah, and you actually saw Icona Pop though. You saw them in the flesh, didn't you?
I did. I saw them live. They supported Katy Perry on her Prismatic tour. They opened for her, so like they were doing bits.
Yeah, they had a real moment, definitely.
So here we go again with like the zany pop era as well, because Katy Perry was still firmly in like the like crazy pop star.
Was that when you had like the confetti cannons or whatever, or things like that?
Yeah,
giant props
she like
and stuff.
Dialed it down a slight bit, but it was still pretty wacky.
This is before
Icona Pop had the kazoos out as well. They had the kazoos on stage.
Out. This is before Katy Perry's purposeful pop era, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that what she called it? Purposeful pop?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The purposeful pop in question was Swish Swish.
Yeah. Let's move on to a far better song than Swish Swish. Let's break down I Love It. So this song, right, it's a massive banger. Huge. That's kind of what defines the song. Massive club banger. It's like practically all drop. There's not so much dynamics in the song.
It never lets off.
It's pretty relentless. So it has this kind of infectious sort of cheerleader chorus. Screaming with the girls in the club. That's what it's about. Big energy.
I wrote that part in the script, by the way, not Martin.
Yeah, I wasn't screaming with the girls in the club when it was out, unfortunately. But
the image of you like yas queening.
So it's very this song, very hedonistic. You hear in the lyrics.
Very hedonistic, yeah.
That's what it's about.
And I think maybe I've been conditioned to think this way because of like the way that EDM DJs like do live sets. But like the big drops, you can kind of imagine the CO2 cannons going off like the
yeah. This sort of song be really exciting in the moment, but my favourite part of this song is maybe the bit where it does drop down slightly. Charli's bit about Milky Way. That's my favourite bit.
Yeah.
Especially
I think that just helps. Yeah. It helps the chorus go off even more.
And also Milky Way chocolates, really underrated chocolate.
How do you eat them though? Do you just eat them like a normal person, or do you like bite all the chocolate off and then leave the mushy bit?
Anyone who does that is insane. Just shove it in.
I'm going to expose myself here on this podcast and say that if there is a more difficult way to eat a chocolate bar, I will find it.
So
mark my words.
Milky Way, you might think it's like a Kinch chocolate and think, I'm going to pass that one up. But do not pass it up.
Never. I would never think that.
Yeah, it's an amazing chocolate. But that's my favourite bit of the song, I think. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a good bit of the song. Yeah. For me as well, I think that like when I read that the song was made by the guy who did Danced on My Own, and then also the guy who would later go on to make the song Peanut Butter Jelly, like it made sense. It makes so much sense. Like it has elements from like both of those things, and then like the attitude, which I always thought came from Charli. I think I've mentioned that in this. I don't know what I've said on this version versus what I said on the last version.
Let's give Icona Pop their due, because everyone knows Charli's genius. But Icona Pop, they made this song into the hit that it was by bringing that attitude, didn't they? So
they did.
But why do you think?
And do you know what I do love about this song, and also on all of the songs on their debut album, is that they just sing in unison.
Yeah.
Like it's not like one of them takes a part. It's just that they both sing at the same time.
Yeah.
All the time.
That is a perfect duo in that sense.
And I think it really adds to the intensity, especially of the song.
Yeah, totally. So, but why do we think this actually went to number one, though? We've kind of floated around this kind of subject, but let's get into it.
So I think that you probably might have had a better grasp of what was going on the blogs throughout like 2012 and 13. But yeah, the song was big like online, I think, prior to it hitting TV. And apparently they did like really well at South by Southwest as well.
Yeah, and it was big on sort of, we mentioned girls, it was on lots of TV. So it was apparently in the Vampire Diaries.
Yeah.
Someone performed it on Dance with the Stars. I remember lots of performances to this song on like Britain's Got Talent and stuff like that. X Factor, right? In the X Factor series with Gary Barlow. One of those series is
Gary Barlow,
Mr. Gary Barlow. Euphoria Girls.
I just thought you added another L there.
The band Euphoria Girls do a cover version of this song, I think, in the audition process. I don't know if they got through. I can't remember, but lots of stuff was going on in this song. They were on Jimmy Fallon, Good Morning America.
Yep.
So TV, big deal back then. So they were putting the work in.
Yeah.
And I think it was kind of floating in the ether, this song. You would just hear it everywhere. And it was in so many adverts, apparently. So it was in a Dr. Pepper advert, right?
Yep.
It was in an advert for Samsung Galaxy phones. Other phones are available, obviously. It was in an advert for Smirnoff Ice, which I think is, something that fits.
Other beverages are available, such as Hooch.
Yes. Oh,
Just nailing on that.
You're on that hooch train.
That sponsorship.
Yeah, you're on that. Yeah.
Yep.
Special K cereal.
Mhm.
And apparently a website called Shoe Dazzle, which I think is an American website. But yeah.
It kind of sounds terrible, but yeah.
Yeah. It was all over the place.
Yeah,
this
I think that TV had a lot more pull than it does now. I think I'm trying to think of like a song that went big from a TV show recently, and the only one that's coming to mind is like the Labyrinth song that was on Euphoria.
Well, unless you're counting Running Up That Hill.
Oh God, yeah, of course. I actually forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they're like the big two, but then it's like they are like Stranger Things and Euphoria have been massive shows and massive online as well.
Yeah. Like maybe it's like harder to get like a slow build over like the course of a year. Like now.
Yeah.
Things happen a lot more quickly, I think.
Yeah. And of course that like kind of steady rise in the US then just immediately transferred to UK success when the track dropped here.
Yeah, and like people were like kind of salivating over it. They were like clamoring to hear it.
Yeah.
Whereas now it would just be there, for everyone in the world to hear it exactly the same time.
Yeah.
But big song for the summer though as well. Timing is always important.
Yeah. Yeah, undeniable summer hit. And I think EDM, like in its truest form, like was huge around this time. So I think we talked about this a bit in the Calvin Harris episode, which was episode 3, by the way, if you'd like to go back and listen to that one.
Yes.
But Calvin was like in his peak at this time, like 2012, 2013. He had a hell of a lot of number ones. And then Avicii was really big. He had a few number ones during these years. There was like Swedish House Mafia, Martin Garrix, Rudimental.
Yeah.
They all had number ones in 2000, like late 2012, early 2013.
Yeah.
So it was like a big year for like this maximalist EDM electronic music.
Definitely. And Icona Pop, they were on that vibe, weren't they?
Mm-hmm.
And
in like more of a pop girly way, but it was definitely like the same kind of spirit.
Yeah, and their album came out on 27th August 2013. Also, that is my birthday. So there you go, celebrating my birthday by releasing their album. That's nice of them.
I didn't know you were only 10.
Yeah. Yes, I was born on the 27th of August 2013, of course.
Yeah.
So where are they now, though? Where are Icona Pop?
I'd love you to tell me where
I can
Icona
tell
Pop
you.
are now.
Icona Pop are back, as they say, right? So they've been celebrating the 10th anniversary of this song. I love it. But, right, they've got a brand new song that they've just released. So they released this, few months ago or weeks ago, depending on when you listen to this episode. They released it back again with Galantis, back full circle. And
They've stayed loyal,
It's called I Want You. And it's a good song. It's a good song. And they have plans afoot for a brand new album. So the girls say that they are re-engaging with their alternative and electronic roots. So, good luck to Icona Pop. Meanwhile...
Did they do a second album, or do they just have is it just the debut album and nothing, much like Sky Ferreira?
I think it's just the debut album. If we are wrong, then someone please correct us. If you're a big Icona Pop stans, we'd be happy to hear from you. Meanwhile, though, Charli XCX is fucking Charli XCX. That's all that's all we have to say.
All know and love her.
Yeah. But she still does this song. She still does this song.
She does.
She owns it.
She still does. I think that's another great thing about Charli is that, like, especially on this, like, her latest era, like the Crash tour.
Yeah.
She was kind of doing, because obviously Crash was like a bit of an ode to this commercially successful Charli, I guess. So she was doing like songs from Crash and then kind of still doing Boom Clap, and I love it. And all these chart hits
Yeah, and it's never done like in
from
like
early on in her career.
never done like in an ironic way where it's like, oh, this is all this silly stuff and I'm doing good stuff now. She just goes for it. It's part of who she is, and it's one of her defining songs, and she owns it. Definitely.
Yeah, and it also birthed the incredible meme of Charli shouting, "I thought this fucking song was big in Germany."
Yeah.
When just no one's responding to the song. She's performing it.
Classic clip there.
Yeah. And don't forget,
tell me.
Icona Pop and Charli XCX did collaborate again. They came together on a remix of Tovlo's 2018 single "Bitches."
Good to see that they're still, still on good terms.
Yeah.
And intertwined forever in pop history. Charli and Icona Pop. And that's where they will stay forever remembered. But we have to rate the song though, don't we?
We do.
Out of 100. So you can go first, Abby, because I don't know, maybe you might be a bit more enthusiastic than I am, but what do you say?
Oh, you see, nostalgia just tints stuff for me. So like part of me wants to do, why, I don't know why, like, I get so like in my head about what I'm going to rate a song when it comes to the end of an episode, as if we've not spent the last hour talking about Coronation Street.
I always knew what I'm rating. I always knew I was rating this, so there was no debate for me. But
we may as well just be enthusiastic, and I'm just going to go for 85.
85, okay. I'm going 64. Sorry to be, party pooper. So it's like a good song, but like it's a song for the moment, and you have to experience those moments, I think. So I've not been in a club where it's been on, not been in, I've not seen it performed at a festival or anything like that. And I think if you're in those moments.
See, when this was big, it was like, I think I was probably the right age.
Yeah.
For being, underage in a club.
So in itself, I think maybe I want it to do a little bit more or have a little bit different dynamics, but it's a perfect song for what it does, I think. So that's what I'm rating it. But it's definitely a song that will be remembered forever.
Yeah. A great one-hit wonder as well.
Yeah, so I Love It. That is it. Closed book on I Love It, Icona Pop, and Charli XCX.
We've given you everything you need to know.
We salute you. So that is almost everything for this week. We'll be back with another episode next week on another number one. You got a teaser, like Abby, of what we might be talking about next time for the listeners?
I think, how can we tease this one? I would say that this is maybe a friend of the magazine.
Friend of the magazine, there you go.
Friend of the magazine. Well, it's a let's just go in. This is next week's episode is about a previous cover star. There
you go, listeners. Dig out your old copies of Dark and era. See, and try and work out who it might be. It's definitely going to be an interesting one.
Yeah. I'm really excited for the next episode, honestly. I have so much to say.
It'll be an interesting one for me, absolutely. It's going
to be a learning curve for you.
A learning curve, yeah. Maybe it's an artist who I'm not so au fait with. Let's say that.
Yeah.
So that's for next week.
And don't forget.
Yeah, don't forget
to comment, like, and subscribe.
Yes. Anywhere you want to, but you can download the Dork app. You can get on all the places where you get podcasts. You can talk to us on Twitter. If you want to say anything, just get in touch. Say hello.
Yeah, at Read Dork. We should probably tell them where.
Yeah, that'd be a good idea. Yeah, say hello. And we will see you for another episode of Pop History next week. So until then, have a lovely week and we will see you later. Bye-bye.
Goodbye. Chat Attack is brought to you by Dork. It's hosted by Abigail Firth and Martin Young, and it's produced by Patrick Gunnis. All chart data is sourced from the official charts company. You can follow us or get in touch across socials at Chart Attack Pod or via the Dork accounts at Read Dork and at Dork Radio. Thank you for listening.